Broadcasting live from our studio in Boston, Solutions Review is proud to showcase Observe.AI in the Solution Spotlight, an inside look at enterprise technologies.
I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review, and welcome to the Solution Spotlight featuring Observe.AI, and focused on transforming the customer experience with AI-driven solutions that can maximize performance and drive efficiencies. We hear it here every day. If you're standing still, you're falling behind. And that has never been truer than right now in the AI moment. In today's fast-paced environment, operational efficiency is critical to staying ahead. So today, we'll be looking at how companies are leveraging Observe.AI to streamline contact center operations, reduce costs, and boost agent performance. And our two guest experts will highlight key strategies to eliminate efficiencies, optimize workflows, and deliver measurable business impact. And we'll also take a look under the hood with a live demo of Observe.AI showcasing how you can unlock your company's full potential with AI. And to walk us through the Observe.AI solution today is Sneha Iyer, Business Value Lead, and Blake Fleck, Enterprise Sales Engineer. Sneha, Blake, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having us. We're super pumped.
Yeah, well, we love solutions like this, particularly in this moment in time. And so I want to give you all the room that you need to be able to get through not only the presentation, but the demo that we're going to share. So I'm going to get out of the way. And what I'll let everybody know is that we're going to have a nice presentation, and you will get to see a demo of Observe.AI. And then I will jump back in at the end with questions. If anybody has any, by all means, send them in. I'll gather them up here, and I'll share them. I'll certainly have a few of my own, but would love to get some from anybody in the audience. With that said, I'm going to hand it over to you, Sneha, and let you begin the presentation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doug. I do want to start off by saying that, in the past few years, we've seen a rapid pace in the adoption, the consumption of AI tools, right? And we're also seeing that AI is on top of every CEO, CIO's agenda. And that's primarily driven by two things. One is either the fear of missing out, or it's the fear of getting started too early. Regardless, AI is something where everyone feels there's potential to get to their business outcomes a lot sooner. We've seen a lot of organizations either seeking budget to fund these AI initiatives or reallocating their existing budgets to fund it, right? And one such AI initiative is in the space of contact centers. That's really where Observe steps in. When we talk about contact centers, we focus a lot on providing a transformative customer experience. And before I dive a little deeper into, why customer experience matters, how do you fuel it through operational efficiency? Blake, if you could go to the agenda slide, I do want to walk through what we're going to be covering today. We're going to talk briefly about Observe.AI's vision, our mission, who we are, and then Blake's going to walk you through our platform, product offerings, and then we're going to go over two case studies. These are real-life examples of our customers. I'll set the stage in terms of what are some of the business challenges they have? How does Observe.AI fit into their business needs? Blake's going to be doing the demo, and then we leave a few minutes towards the very end for some Q&A. Let me talk about Observe.AI's vision and mission. Observe.AI's vision is to pioneer customer experience by leveraging AI. Now, why does customer experience matter? Now, let me give you a simple example. Now, this may not be true across the board, but I'm just going to give you an example that resonates best with me. Say I go to fly into a new city, a new state. I am checked into my hotel room. I'm a little hungry but lazy to go out and explore some restaurants, but I just want to order some food online. So I have no idea about what are some of the top-rated best restaurants in that city. What's the first thing I'm going to do? I'm going to open up my phone. I'm going to type in top-rated best restaurants near me. And then what that's going to do is it's going to give me a list of restaurants, and I'm going to look at restaurants which have the highest ratings, which have the most number of reviews, probably 5-star reviews. Now, what does this do? It's influencing my decision to make a purchase from these top-rated restaurants. Why does this matter? It's because of customer experience. I have no idea about, the restaurant's service quality, their food quality. But if I see 1,000 other people giving 5-star reviews for their service and food quality, there's a layer of trust, credibility that's already built, which is influencing my decision. And this customer experience or this customer satisfaction, it has a snowball, a domino effect across so many other, pillars of your business. Now, let me talk about that cascading experience with this example, right? The first thing is because of so many reviews, there is a high brand reputation for that restaurant now, right? The second piece is they're going to have a lot of brand loyalty and retention because if you're providing phenomenal food quality and service, then you're going to have a lot of repeat customers. And the third piece is it's driving more revenue for them through a prospect like me. Now, I've been influenced by these customer reviews and I am going to go in and make that purchase. So there are different areas in a business which get influenced by customer experience. And customer experience is not something that changes, overnight. It is something, which requires a lot of streamlining of your operational efficiencies. And that's literally the core of Observe, right? We're going to step in, beat any vertical. It could be a healthcare space, it could be financial services, it could be collections, BPO. If you have a department or a contact center where your agents are interacting with consumers on your product services offerings, then we want to be able to help you uncover those business insights. Yeah, so this is what I talked about. We want to leverage AI to help you provide a transformative customer experience while maintaining your data privacy and security. We do understand that data privacy and security is a huge, factor in making a decision around any AI tool, and we do make sure that that's top of our heads. In the next slide, I'm just going to walk you through a little bit of background for Observe. We've been in the industry for about 7 years now. We've been funded by some of the biggest ventures like SoftBank, Menlo Ventures, Nexus, and Zoom. And because we've been in the industry for a few years now, we can handle scale, right? So when I talk about handling scale, you can see that we've processed over 3 billion interactions. Not just that, we have over 150,000 agents on our platform. And we've also built our own 40 billion parameter, large language model, which is going to fuel all these insights that you get from our platform. And we've been lucky to have about 350 customers place their faith in our solution. And then I'm going to hand it over to Blake to cover how Gen AI fuels some of the enterprise customer success.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Sneha. So yeah, for this slide right here, it's a great demonstration of some of the big logos that are working with Observe in the last couple of years, but also a better understanding of where we impact the business for companies who are just now starting to use speech analytics or any kind of intelligence tool of how you're conversating with your customers or clients. So if you see at the very top, Concentrix is one of our largest customers today. They have, as a company, 70,000 agents spread throughout 400 different businesses. So for just Concentrix alone, Observe has had the ability to really dip into all of those different customers, understand those different industries, and start to build out these different models to get ready for the actual other customers that are coming in that are not actual BPOs. Other things that I want you to look at through and understand these logos is where we actually impacting their business. For me here at Observe, I've been here for 4 years and 3 days. And what I've learned is that people who are new to the analytics space, they need to be thinking about two different things. One is, as a business, are the quality of my calls going to be good enough for me to increase the growth of my business? So is quality important? Good example of that would be Fisher Investments. Some of their calls are 2 hours, 3 hours long. And if they're going to be having a conversation around people's finances, they need to make sure that they're speaking accurately around the conversation that they're having. But then you have other companies like Public Storage where, yes, the quality does need to be high, but their quantity is just so much higher than everyone else in the space. They're getting, upwards of 100 calls per agent per day, trying to be able to handle the different conversations around storage, pricing, when things need to be picked up, damages, and it gets fairly complex just by the quantity of the amount of calls that they're receiving. So Observe handles both of those both of those use cases very well. Where if you have a high quality of calls like Fisher Investments or JG Wentworth, we want to make sure that your agents are accurate on what they're saying. But then from a public storage perspective, we want to make sure that the process that you've built for your large company is actually intact and people are making the right decisions from the agent level so that the customers are actually happy with the business. Here are going to be four, I would say, mainline ROIs that you need to be thinking about when you're looking at speech analytics. One is, are my agents upset? Are my customers upset, and why? And then how are we going to be able to improve that frustration? Two is going to be sales conversions. How do we increase sales conversions on these calls? And the funny thing is, this doesn't have to be only sales related conversations. A lot of our customers today are mainly service based, but they always like to finish every call with a sales upsell. With Observe.AI, we want to ensure that these servicing calls have the potential to generate additional revenue on all of these interactions. Reduction in average handle time. This is, I would say, table stakes for anybody who is growing in their business and they're not able to increase their agent or their QA or their manager count, but they need to be able to decrease the amount of time it takes for their customers to actually be satisfied. If you have a reduction in average handle time, that is a direct relation to decreasing your negative customer sentiment, but also allowing your agents to be able to handle more calls throughout the day through just being able to decrease this workflow. Next is the platform. But here would be the platform. And the way that Observe likes to separate this is, where is the actual technology sitting, right? Is this technology sitting during the call for agents? Meaning in real time, I need to make sure that my agents are saying the right things on an interaction, handling objections in real time, being able to integrate with a knowledge-based system in real time. That would be all during the call processing, during the call analytics. Secondly is, you're going to have directly after call, which is going to be handling your after call work, right? Like just how we talked about, it was going to lower your average handle time by 40%. This is exactly how we're going to do that. Is now moving forward, your agents that have to leave dispositions, leave notes, have to fill out a Zendesk ticket or a Salesforce case, does not have to do that anymore. With Observe.AI, we are now analyzing the entire conversation and being able to populate the entire case, the entire ticket, and then summarize that entire conversation and throw that into your CRM of choice. This now allows your agents to be able to handle the next call, but also stay very accurate in regards to these automated notes going into the system. And then my favorite piece is going to be the auto QA. This is our ability to say every communication that you have with your customer, we can not only put a score on it, but we also want to analyze and throw it into a data bucket to better understand how we can improve your processes moving forward. So when you think about a 10-minute call, a 15-minute call that is never getting looked at by a manager, that it never has time for a QA to be able to analyze that conversation, moving forward, Observe takes care of all of that for you. We analyze every call, we give it a score, and then we do it differently based off how our competitors are also doing it in the space. And last but not least is, we do have a reporting tool that's sitting in the background. So this is our ability to say, we're grabbing so much data, we're being able to pull in your Salesforce, your Zendesk, your CRM data. If you're a healthcare company, we can grab your Epic data, blend that all together with Observe.AI, and then now from your VP of customer success, your VP of customer support, your team lead managers have very clear insights of what's happening within the business, because we're analyzing every communication with so much detail. Now, let's go ahead and hop into a demonstration. And what we can see here is, this is your call details page or your interactions details page. This is going to be everything that we now know about one interaction. So here within the system, Harper Anderson is going to be the agent having a 5-minute call. And I can see through here where we're pulling from their CCAS system, we are pulling the call recording, as well as any metadata that we can tie to that call recording. So if it's healthcare, typically it's going to be Epic, where we're pulling all of that Epic data. We know what kind of call type it is. We know what kind of customer or patient they are. And then here in the middle is going to be the actual transcript of the conversation. This transcript here, we are shooting for above 90% accuracy, and that is going to be looking at all of the different industry-specific words and to ensure that we're increasing the accuracy over time. Next is you have this interaction that's 5 minutes long. 97% of the time, on average, this call is never being looked at for a quality review. With Observe, this is all going to happen for me. Here on the right-hand side is going to be the QA form that we've populated. And then now we create moments inside of the system. And if these moments are being detected on the interaction, then they will automatically answer the question a yes or a no. So right out of the gate, we know that the greeting and introduction is happening. That is a yes, because the moment is showing up in the first 5 seconds of the call where Harper did a great job. But next, as we keep going, we take a look that the score is an 83.3. So they did pass, so they didn't have any compliance failures. But we do want to look at where can they improve based off of this miss of not being a 100. So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down, and I'm going to find the question where it is a no with an X mark. So I'm going to go ahead and quickly read this question off. It says, were appointment type specific pre-visit instructions effectively communicated, such as fasting for 12 hours before their appointment? We're going to go ahead and take a look at the moments that we found on the interaction. And here it is. This is where we start to get very dynamic in the way that we start to automate these call scores. There's a lot of companies in the space. There's CCAS providers in the space that could do similar things like this. But where they're missing the mark is being able to fully understand if I need to make some kind of dynamic choices or dynamic decisions on these QA forms, I'm able to do that. So here we're able to see that Harper is able to set the call up and had an annual physical and labs work appointment that is presented on the call. So they set the labs appointment. Everything looks great. But where Harper missed the mark is that she forgot to remind the customer or the patient that the fasting reminder before coming in for that lab work. So if anybody knows that they've given blood in the past couple years, hopefully you have been checked up, you will know that if you don't go in and you were drinking water or you were having foods and liquids right before going into your blood appointment, they're going to turn you around and you're going to have to reschedule. That is a huge nuisance on not only the patient's experience for not being reminded, but for also the business. They had someone in seat, they were expecting someone to come in to give blood, and now they just had to push them away and in hopes that they would come for a reschedule. We want to be able to get rid of that negative experience as many times as possible. And with Observe, we can now identify how often is this actually happening. Next, I'm going to hop into my interaction summary. This is where we're going to automate a lot of these call notes for your agents moving forward. So if you have agents that are new on the job, or if you have agents that are BPOs that are living, outside of the United States that may not know about as good as your business as your current employees do that are working in the States, we want to be able to automate that process for them as much as possible. So if we take a look, I can now have my call reason automated. I can have the key events that have happened on this 5-minute call automated with my next steps that were discussed during the conversation. Why this is so impactful is because now my agents don't have to do this. I know that it's 100% accurate, and my Epic or my Zendesk is going to be completely filled out for a ticket the exact perfect way that I expect. This is what is going to help with your average handle time, with your accuracy, and overall understanding where your data is living within the system. Now on the top is going to be your moments. This is another piece that we talked about a little bit, but this is where you can actually, as a manager or as a QA analyst, hop into an interaction and then better understand what is happening on this call and dive into the details that need to happen. So here would be a great example is negative customer sentiment was expressed during this 5-minute call. I can now, as a QA analyst or as a team lead, go to that snippet to better understand, is this frustration happening from the patient's experience of the agent or the patient's experience of the business? Once this is better, more understood, we now create better analytics, better reporting, and start to make a better experience for the customer. Now that we understand that the QA form is filled out, it's happening from the interactions page, we're handling phone calls, chats, emails. Now this is a great time now to see, okay, what does it look like from a team view? How can I now help my agents get better over time, right? If I'm just now giving everyone scores on everybody's call, well, that's not going to really change the scores over time. But if I'm able to identify what is going wrong and then be able to have coaching sessions with those agents, now I'm having an impact on my agent, and I'm going to be able to see their business, their internal business, helping a lot more over time. So let's take a look at what we see here. Now I've got my manual evaluations at 86% for this specific team. On my auto QA, I've got my 77.32% out of 4,811 fails that I have generated from the engine. I can see to the right-hand side where the top coaching areas that I've been working with my team over in the past week. Scroll down, and this is probably my favorite visual to be able to show from a coaching aspect, is if I was just looking at one of my agents' performances over their year, this is typically what you're going to see, right? You're going to come in and see out of the 27 calls that I've analyzed manually, you have only hit the mark one time, right? And it's a really hard conversation to have because people say, well, I've had thousands and thousands and thousands of calls in the past year. Why are you picking on me for the 27 interactions that I didn't do good? Now you're stopping the coaching. You're stopping that benefit from agents realizing how they need to improve. With Observe, because we're grading every single call moving forward, now the conversation gets a lot easier to where I say, okay, what you looked at 27 times, I am now looking at a performance based off the team or based off the individual of 20,376 calls. So now you're kind of getting rid of the agent's feeling of you're picking on me, you're picking the wrong calls, that was just a bad day. But when you start to show a trending analysis of their entire breadth of their work, well, then you start to really understand, okay, as an agent, you now are looking at 20,000 interactions. I can now start to take this feedback more seriously because it's way more than just the 27 that you've picked randomly from a manual perspective. So once that's figured out and we start to understand what needs to be worked on with the different agents and different coaches, then I'm going to come down and I'm going to hop into Sophia Brown. This is going to be a specific agent for me that I want to improve their work. I can click into this agent and I'm able to see the 3 calls in the last 30 days that were graded manually that I'm able to throw into coaching sessions. I throw those calls into a coaching session. I create a coaching session with Sophia, and now they're able to really see a great view of all of the different interactions that have been graded either manually or automated, that we could start to focus on the different things within her particular business that she can improve on. So I'm going to take out maybe a few of these, and now I've got a perfect idea of how a coaching session should happen, where you give them a call where they did great, a call they needed to improve on, and then another call where they did great. Now the agents have an understanding of, you're looking at all my calls, you gave me kind of this sandwich aspect of giving coaching. I'm now putting in my coaching area of what Sophia needs to work on. So maybe it would be dead air and that arriving 15-minute early reminder for those blood tests. I'm going to give my feedback, the action plan, and then now what additionally is new is what actionable outputs do I expect my agents to have after spending 30 minutes to an hour on a coaching session? Well, that's where we create these different goals within the system. And now within the goals, I can add specific metrics that I want my team to be able to improve on. So here would be something simple as accurately and promptly verify patients' information. That's only happening 1 out of 3 times. Like that should be kind of bread and butter, right? You should be able to say, ask for these 3 or 4 different pieces of information on every call moving forward. So I expect this 33% to get to 100%. So I'm going to select this from their QA form, and I have a new recommendation of 100% goal follow up based off of the different metrics that we have here on the bottom left. So this is really going to be setting everything up for success, where what we talked about so far is we've got the calls coming in. We are able to analyze all of those interactions. Those interactions are put into a team dashboard. From that team dashboard, you're able to drill into specific agents where they can now have specific calls go into the system, and you're having a customized experience to be able to better understand, all right, agents, if you're able to move the lever in these specific questions, there is going to be a positive impact on the business. So this company is Daily Pay. They have been a customer for us for about a year and a half. I had the opportunity of working with Ryan Moore to not only being able to showcase the platform prior to them purchasing, but also during the renewal process and their upsell opportunities of using additional products within Observe. So Daily Pay, just to keep everyone on the same page, is a financial wellness platform that allows employees to access their earned wages before pay. So it's pretty cool. So like, let's say I work at Walmart, I get paid every 2 weeks on a Monday, and I need my paycheck prior to that 2 week mark. And I need to grab the money that I've already worked, and I can't wait for that 2 week mark to be able to get paid because I have bills and I have life to be able to figure out. Daily Pay comes in and is allowing employees at companies to be able to get early money on the work that they've already done. So what's great about Observe is that these calls are pretty interesting. You know, as Daily Pay, they're servicing so many different actual employees from companies that their problems get pretty dynamic. And from a sentiment perspective, anytime someone's calling in Daily Pay, it's usually they're not like in the best mood ever, right? Like they're trying to figure out their pay, they're trying to understand why they haven't been able to get their pay in time or what their expected pay to be. So these conversations are somewhat tedious, and they've got employees and they've got BPOs spread all throughout the world that are accepting these calls. With Observe.AI, where we came into play is we said, all right, we need to standardize your quality across the board. You have all of these different contact centers spread throughout the United States and then as well as globally. We need to put them all on the same QA form, and we need to be able to set the same expectations. Doesn't matter where they're sitting taking these calls. That was the first year of them using Observe, was solving that specific problem. Second year, they've recognized so much revenue and so much time savings that their budget allowed them to be able to starting to use summarization AI. That was what I went through a little bit prior, is that page where you're getting automated information based off the transcript of the call, and it's automatically going into a CRM or into a ticket. That is a great amount of value because, again, if your agents are spread globally, they are going to be writing notes and writing things within their CRMs differently. We had to standardize that process so that they could continue to save money using a BPO, but as well as leverage a lot of the intelligence of Observe to be able to equal the playing field of where they're currently located taking these calls.
Yeah, and I did want to add one piece to the Daily Pay case study. I think one of the biggest challenges for them was when they care so much about customer satisfaction and service quality. The way most companies usually measure it is through sending out surveys, right? So I can send out surveys across like 100% of the calls that I take, but you're rarely going to get customers to respond to those surveys. And the industry average when it comes to these take rates is anywhere between 5 to 10%. And most companies try to make a decision based on those survey responses from the 5 to 10% that you've gathered, right? And to Blake's point earlier, this is such a small sample set that you cannot be confident enough to make process improvement related changes or service quality changes just from that 5 to 10%. And that's where auto QA is so important, because it's going beyond just your survey responses. It's gonna look at different agent behaviors, attributes that contribute to customer satisfaction, and you're getting this holistic view across 100% of your interactions to drive those changes.
Definitely. And then this is our second case study, and then we're going to hop right back into the product. But I thought this was also interesting, is a company, Affordable Care. So what's great about Affordable Care is it's America's leading consumer healthcare company, exclusively focused on tooth replacement. Their business is scheduling, is making sure people show up to schedules, and is making as many outbound and inbound calls as possible to be able to drive that activity. So with Observe, they've realized that this post call of having all of this intelligence and all of this data is so important to them. But also what's important is I need to help my agents in real time. That is where we have an application that is going to be sitting on the computer screen where you're now able to receive and take calls, and think of it as getting live coaching, live script adherence in real time of what's happening based off this dialogue. My favorite thing about this is it now kind of standardizes the way that new agents get up and running. Typically you put them in pods. They're not really fully up and live on calls until, like, I would say week 5 or 6 is when you truly are dependent on them. We're able to cut that in less than or more than half, right? So instead of having 6 weeks to be up and running, you could be anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks. When we build out these scripts in these real time in the right way, it makes it very simple for new agents to be able to say the right things during these interactions. But most importantly is not making sure you don't say the wrong things, right? And that's where with real time, you've got compliance, you've got script adherence, you've got security that you always want to make sure is dialed in for these new reps that are taking these calls. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and hop into what that looks like. So here is going to be our real-time builder. So what I like to do here is kind of give you a pretty good understanding of how this is all going to be set up. And then from here, I'll show you an actual demo within our website to be able to showcase what does that real-time actually look like. So here at Observe, when we're thinking about script adherence, we have what's called smart scripts. So if think about your business and you have your agents and you want to put a piece of paper on their desk and write out what they're expected to say on a call, that is something that you would have on a smart script to make sure that your agents are doing. Secondly is your dynamic prompts. This is your ability to say, hey, these types of interactions, these objections are not going to happen on every single call. But they do happen, and when it does, I'm going to surface and give you some information of what you need to say moving forward, right? So it's kind of like a nudge in the right direction, but it's not a smart script where it's sitting on the person's computer throughout the entire dialogue of that conversation. And then lastly, my favorite piece is call notes. This is where we're going to summarize the entire conversation in real time, and we can now populate different questions to be able to ask back into the system to be able to get text back in regard. So if the patient says their name during the call, we want to be able to capture that so we could throw that into a field in Zendesk, into a field of Salesforce or customer. Same thing with reason of the call, key events, and next steps is how quickly can we get our agents back onto the next call while having accurate, detailed notes being able to put into our CRM automatically. So for that, let me go ahead and hop into the preview dialer. I'm going to share this right here. And this is what it would look like, is you're going to have your dialer here on the left-hand side. It is going to be built out with your script. Here on the right-hand side, I'm going to now throw in a call. that we want to be able to actually analyze within the system. Now, I would say this piece right here is very important, this piece of technology that you're looking at. There are a lot of companies that can do real-time script adherence. Where they fall off is that they do not have the ability to be able to test the calls in the system, to be able to configure it properly. And so what you're going to run into is companies are going to set up these script adherence, they're going to set up all your objection handling, but if these different queues are not firing off appropriately, companies have no visibility into that. With Observe.AI, we now are so confident in our product that you could throw any call into the system and now immediately get the exact behavior of what your call is going to be through this experience. And this is our way of, once you become a customer, we're going to start throwing calls into the system to be able to identify what needs to be changed in regards to what we're looking for in the script adherence. I'm going to go ahead and make this phone call out, and then we're going to be able to see the things that are going to be checked off, which is things that you see here are smart scripts. And then anything that happens during the call is going to be a dynamic prompt.
Thank you for calling Observe Health. My name is Robert Green. How may I assist you today?
Hi, I'm calling about a prescription drug I need to refill, but I just found out the copay is ridiculously high.
Dynamic prompt.
I'm sorry to hear that you're facing this issue. I'd be happy to look into it for you. For security purposes, can you please provide me with your full name and policy number and date of birth so that I can locate your account?
Sure. My name is Jack Sparrow, and my policy number is...
Thank you, Jack. Let me pull up your account. While I'm doing that, could you tell me a bit more about the prescription drug and the copay that you are concerned about?
It's for a medication I've been taking for a while now to manage my migraines. But this time, when I went to go refill it, I was shocked to see that the copay has gone up significantly. I can't afford to pay that much every month.
I understand your frustration.
Tied to your knowledge base.
Let me take a closer look at your account and see if there's anything I can do to help reduce the cost for you. Thank you for your patience. It seems that the copay for this medication has increased due to a change in your plan's formulary. This is now classified as a Tier 4 drug. However, there might be alternative medications or programs that could help lower the cost for you. Have you considered discussing this with your doctor to explore other options?
I haven't thought about that. I'll definitely talk to my doctor and see if there's a more affordable alternative, but I'm still frustrated about the sudden increase in the cost.
I also see you have an option to save more if you switch to a 90-day mail-in order going forward, rather than using your retail pharmacy. This will be a significant cost savings for you. Would you like me to set that up for you?
Sure, that can work for now, and I can talk to my doctor about alternatives.
I completely understand, and I apologize for any inconvenience this may have caused. Our goal is to ensure you have access to the medications you need at an affordable cost. If you need any assistance or have further questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Thank you for your help. I really appreciate you looking into this for me.
It was my pleasure assisting you today. If you have any further questions or concerns in the future, don't hesitate to give us a call. Have a great day.
You too. Goodbye.
All right. So we just saw a lot. So let's cover what just happened on this conversation. If you could see on this left-hand side is everything was getting checked off appropriately based off their conversation and exactly what he was asking back to the patient. What you will find is that they were never asked the date of birth during this communication. And in real world scenarios, if an agent had this on their screen and they had date of birth in red for the entire 2 minutes and 39 seconds of the call, I think we can all agree that he would make sure that he would ask those specific questions, right? Either within a minute in, maybe it's not fully compliant, but he's going to see that it's still not scratched off and that he needs to go back and be able to provide the patient with the right questions initially. Other things that you're going to see is your agents now have all of this data for them automated after the communication. The reason why this is important and is visible back to your agents is that we now allow them to edit the notes prior to them going into these different business systems that you would use. So for a company like this that is going to be very appointment heavy, realistically, they're probably on an Epic or some kind of custom CRM. Now I could come in, I'm able to change the patient's name, look over the reason for the call, look over the key events and next steps. I head to the next call, and all of this data will automatically go into that business system. This is where 50% of average handle time goes down. Your data analytics start to make way more sense because things are accurate, and you're going to be able to leverage a lot more agents that are international that may not have the same kind of training that you would have inside of the States. We're equalizing the playing field for everybody. Once this is done, my last piece that I will show is reporting. All reporting is going to be within Observe, but also we have APIs that are available that we could push back out into your Microsoft BI, your Tableau, your Looker. We make it very simple to where we have all of the data that's coming from these interactions. Where would you like us to place it within your schema? And we're able to do that. But the things that we're capturing are very important for businesses, especially for affordable care. That's their only interest, is being able to schedule appointments and make sure that that is going smoothly. When we start creating dashboards that look similar to this, where we could see what is your schedule rate, your reschedule rate, your cancel rate, your no-show rate, we start to better understand what needs to change for the business for this all to make sense. I would say, this cancel rate of 63%, or the appointments rescheduled that's coming in at 15%. That's probably happening because our agents aren't asking, hey, you need to make sure that it's blood work, there's no drinking 24 or 12 hours before you come in. When you tighten up that messaging, your then reporting is going to change. Keep scrolling down. And as a business, we want to start allocating agent behavior towards actual costs. Companies, it's very hard for them to be able to recognize this, right? We have companies that are from the simple use case of let's say that they are moving companies and asking for additional materials like boxes and things like that, which is a huge revenue spike that never really gets asked. Same thing right here is cancellations that are coming in. How is it actually affecting the business? And is it correlating to agent behavior that needs to change? All of that is going to be done within the reporting of Observe to make it very easy for you and your team to make these simple decisions. And lastly, my last piece that I will show is going to be how we even drill down into those no-shows or those missed calls. Now, from a generative AI perspective, we're looking into the transcripts, and we can start to allocate where these cancellation and these schedulings are coming from so that we can better your business immediately and not have to guess on what's actually happening within your contact center. So I want to thank you for taking a look at Observe, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing.
Well, thank you for sharing. That was great, and I think it's important to note, because I was taking some notes at the beginning and also just overlaying it with just some research around the importance of CX in terms of it driving, as I understand it, it drives 2/3 of loyalty more than price and brand. Just customer experience is so valuable, and I know that a lot of people have invested a lot in it, and I'm sure you are constantly speaking with prospects who already, most everybody has something, and they've, are considering trying to go to the next level, certainly with an AI-based solution like this. Can you talk a little bit about how that tends to work with regard to integrations and some of the other ways that you help people bring a solution like this in?
So from Observe standpoint, we always recommend the more business systems, the better. So if you have a CRM, if you have a database system, if you've got a ticketing system, survey data, all of that data we can correlate back to just a interaction transcript. And if we're able to do that, then you could really start to correlate all of these pieces of data into one and better understand what's actually working within the business and what's not. I think it all started with survey companies. That was big 15 years ago, is throw a text to every single person that came through the door that made a phone call, and we'll hopefully get a response back. And then it progressed into Zendesk automatically sending emails after a ticket is created so that they could show a high response rate on customer experience. But then with Observe, you start to realize, like, you messaging the agent, you messaging the customer to be able to get feedback doesn't make too much sense because the feedback is already there within the call. And so now what's great is we're just going to look through the transcript of the interaction. We're going to get in front of going back and forth telephone game of a CSAT score, and we'll give you specifics on how to be able to increase your business.
The piece that kind of rings the bell for me is this idea of directly after the call, notes being ported right into the system. I just love that as a former manager of salespeople, and understanding that what makes someone good at customer service doesn't necessarily make them good at note input.
Correct. and globally, it's a massive problem, right? Like if I have anything international, like my agents are international whatsoever, their note taking is not going to be great. English is not their first language. Don't expect paragraphs to be done from a 30-minute call. It's funny story is I ran into a customer and he said, "Look, take a look at this." It was a note that was from a 30-minute call, and an agent wrote, "Inconvenience was the reason for the call." And he goes, "The only reason why they call in is an inconvenience."
But to that person, it probably was perfectly summed up.
Oh, it was inconvenience was spelled wrong, which was the kicker. Yeah, it was good.
Well, I will say that that's always been the rub with finding great people who are great at one particular thing, is to expect them to be great at everything that you need them to be great at, and that's where I think that's so much the promise of AI. It's not that it's going to go replace people; it's going to go augment and improve where folks either aren't strong, or quite frankly are better off being on another call. Yep. And writing down all their notes.
Or they'll start taking notes during the call with the customer because they want to keep up with it. How are you going to have a great dialogue if you're constantly trying to type everything out? Like, just take all of that away.
Yeah, that's a pretty common use case too, like agents taking notes while on the call. And the other problem is there's no consistency in the note taking, right? There's so much bias across different agents. So it becomes really hard to know what your source of truth is. And with something like summarization and like the automated integration with CRMs, it's the easiest way to like eliminate that bias, make sure all your notes are consistent across the board, but also impact like metrics like handle time, right? So there's so much time savings when it comes to reducing that note-taking process, that an agent who probably took 10 calls before can now probably take 12 calls, right? Because you're saving them some after-call work time.
Yeah, and ultimately that's what you hired them to do. That's really where they're best is talking to a customer, and I think they'll feel better about it as well. So, but this is the other thing that I think is so interesting about the moment we're in is the models that are being used. So I know you've got a transcription model. Can you talk a little bit about how that is improved over time? Is it just large language modeling itself? How does it work?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So it's going to be a little bit of both. For companies who are acronym heavy, so if they're talking to patients, or if customers are talking to or if agents are talking to customers and they're used to using acronyms from the industry level, more than likely we're going to need to know what those acronyms are so that we're spelling them out correctly inside of the system. A simple example would be like 401k. Like if I said 401k into a transcription engine, it could populate 30 different ways, right? And so then if my engine is looking for these specific moments, you're not going to have the best data in front of you. So with Observe, we know when 401k comes in, it needs to be spelled out exactly this way every time. And those are the kind of ways that we're going to be able to improve their analytics, which improves their auto QA, which improves their reporting. And that's the only thing that matters.
Yeah. And even like within our platform, we do give customers the ability to, provide feedback on specific snippets of the conversation. So if you are looking at a conversation, you feel like, hey, this is not tagged accurately, then you can have the customer go and provide feedback. That gets re-inputted into the model, and then, we keep improving on the accuracy. I think the one big piece, which I did touch a bit upon in the very, beginning of this presentation, was our model is very customized to the contact center space, right? So if you're going to run it through a regular public, large language model, your accuracy is going to go down because, you have so many things to look at. But when you're having a model which is very specific to the contact center use cases, that also helps a lot with improving the accuracy.
Well, and that's really the opportunity for you guys, right? I mean, this is where I see, from a solutions review perspective, this is where the early wins start to happen. Is that you guys are going down a very specific path, and as a result, you're really pioneering in an area where AI isn't necessarily being focused. So we would love everybody to go to Observe.AI. That's the website. So make sure you put it in that way. But tell me a little bit about what folks can expect if they reach out and make the call and begin to have a conversation. How does the process begin to work for them?
Yeah.
So I'm on the sales engineering team, so I work with account executives. But step one is head over to our website, submit in a form. We'd love to have a quick 30-minute conversation. From there, we're going to understand, what are the key metrics that you improve on, what's new or specific about your business that's changed that we need to be thinking about. And then from there, we grab your quality form and we start to understand what needs to happen. Are you hiring agents too fast where we need to implement real time? Do you not have the visibility that you think you need? And we need to be able to incorporate post call. We'll really diagnose everything about what your business current state is at and what your expectations are 3 to 6 months from now.
And so again, there's so much happening, and honestly, because so much is happening, one of the things that I have a sense is also happening is some people are almost becoming paralyzed by the amount of change and the amount of solutions they're seeing and the rapid advancements, and they're almost afraid to jump in because the next new thing might be coming around the corner. So, so what kind of advice would you offer to somebody who's starting to feel like maybe they are being left behind a little bit here, and they need to get serious in through the rest of this year and into 2025?
The big thing is change management. That's what people are scared about. Is I have 2 kids. I work my 8 to 5. I really don't want to think about work outside of that. I don't want things to change because that's going to affect me and my kids' time, or that's going to affect my team's time. All of that goes into play with all of these companies and people that work for them. And so what you need to think about is there is going to be change management in place. Some things that I like to alleviate is it's a 6-week process of implementation. Change management should be done around that 6-week mark. Secondly is we have a really great reference team. So like the people that we showcase today on the case studies, we can get them on the phone talking to you and your team 30 minutes. Exactly. This is what we felt before we joined Observe. This is the benefits that we're getting. And typically change management in 6 weeks, good reference call puts them in a good mindset of like, okay, this is something that I can justify.
Yeah. And we do realize that change management is a very real problem, right? So we have an amazing onboarding team, like our implementation managers. They're going to have dedicated customer success managers and also a business value team to support them and set them up for success. Now, this is going to involve a thorough discovery of their business problem, making sure, like, we recommend the right features, like the right offerings, and develop those value streams so that they can start getting their return on the investment. So yeah, I think it's a good mix of, like, having an amazing pre-sales process and bridging that gap between pre-sales, wholesale, and just, having a good amount of customers give you that reference saying, hey, we've done this. We're not new to this industry, and you can place your faith in us.
Yeah, this has been great. It's like I said, it's an amazing time here at Solutions Review to be able to see all of the advancements that are happening with regard to AI and new solutions and practical, really impactful implementations of AI, really for the betterment of everyone. And certainly, I think we can all agree that customer service can certainly use a little help in many instances, and I welcome it. I think it's great. Best of luck for the rest of the year and in everything that you're doing with Observe.AI. We always enjoy having you guys in the spotlight, and this has been great, very helpful. Thanks.
Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
So there you have it, another solution in our spotlight. We want to thank Observe.AI, Sneha, and Blake for that presentation, and we appreciate your attendance as well. Until next time, I'm Doug Atkinson here at Solutions Review. Thanks for watching.
If your business would like to be featured in a future event, contact us today.